plot each point. Then plot the point that is symmetric to it with respect to the y-axis, the origin, and the x-axis. So this should say B, and this here should be C. So we're going to take these 3 points here, A, B, and C, and graph them. And then let's say for this first one here in A, I'm going to create the point that is symmetric over the y-axis for my A prime. I'm going to call it A prime. So -1, 3 for A. So it would be there. So now remember, I'm symmetric with the y-axis. So that means this is my y-axis. So that means that's like my mirror. So that means it'll go to the other side. So it'll be on the right side here. So that means it would be over here. And that's being symmetric with the y-axis. So I'll call this one A and this one A prime. And that's what I mean by the prime, just a little single quotation. All right, now let's talk about B now. So then for B, B is 3, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 0. So it's right there. And then when I'm thinking about this across the Y, so the other one, remember, this is my mirror here, the y-axis, because it's reflecting across it. That's another way to say the same thing. That means that's going to be 3 in the other direction. Now again, you kind of notice that they go in those directions the same distance. And it just ends up there. Same thing here, notice that. And then this one here, okay, it's the same distance there across because it's across the y. Okay, now we're going to label those. So 3, 0, that's this one here, that was my B. And that means this one here is my B prime. Okay, now let's look at the third one here, number C. So that's 0, 4. So 0, 4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be up there. And reflecting, oops. And reflecting across the y-axis, it would be here. It doesn't go anywhere. I just have to put them both there. They're the same for this one because the point is actually on the axis we're trying to be symmetric with. So it could stay in the same place. So I wouldn't write C prime. I would just usually keep it that way. Or maybe equals C prime. That would be okay too. But that's our answer. Now let's move on to B. This is probably one of the more complicated ones. So actually I'm going to do C first. I'll come back to B in a second. So C is the x-axis. So let's say I have -3, 2. That's going to put me here. Okay. And then I'm going to be symmetric with respect to the x-axis. So that means I'm going to now be over here. So this is my A. And this here is my A prime. That was my reflection. Okay, now let's do B. B is 4, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. So I'm right here. Oops. There it is. Okay, and then my reflection across the X actually stays in the same place, because that's the line of reflection. Okay, now C is -1, -1. So that would be down here. And then C prime is going to be in the other direction now, same distance. And that would be my C prime. So there's the second one. So again, it's very similar to the y-axis. I wanted to save this third one, the B, for last for this reason. Let's take a look at this thing now. Graphing the first point, that's fine. So 2, -3. So 1, 2, 3, right here. Okay, no big deal. Now, the way this one works, this one's actually a little more interesting here. So that was one more, no, -2, 3. So now how this one works is I essentially shoot this through the origin. Now, do you see this distance here? That's the same distance I have to have over here. So what that means is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over here. Now again, that's the same direction because we're reflecting through the origin. That means we're reflecting through this point. So if you think about it, it's going to go in that direction. And where do you think it's going to be? It'll end up being here. Or did I do that wrong? Oh, I graphed the wrong point. I knew something was weird. Let me go back there. You guys see what I did? I did 3, 3. Bummer. Well, these screens sometimes. Okay, so let me actually graph that one right now. Okay, so it's 2, -3. So it's actually here. Okay, I apologize for that. So let's try that again now. Let's shoot it through the center here. Oops. I'll try to get a slightly straighter line. Okay, so there it is. Okay, now essentially the idea from here is now we're going to take this distance here and we're going to move it to the other side. So then that's going to look like this here. And that point should end up here. And if you look at what that is, that's going to be -2 and up 3. So -2, 3 is what we're going to end up with there. Oops. Okay, so that's the first one. So I should just put my A there. I'll just do that, my A prime. And down here I'll put my A. Okay, so that's the idea of how these work. So let's try B now. So B is going to be at -3, 0. So that's going to be here. Now again, we're shooting through the origin. So we're there. So we need this distance. Oops. But on the other side. So that would be 0, 3. No, 3, 0. So this would be B here, and this would be B prime. So now let's deal with C here. So C is 1, 1. Now we're going to go through the same process. This is going to go down to the origin, and that distance is going to come out the other side, and our point is going to end up here. So you can see this is actually very different about how we actually think of these than the other two. So this would be my C. This would be my C prime. So one way we can actually think of this, and this might be a little strange for you here, but we can think of these as like a rotation of 180 degrees. So think about that. Every one of these points is a reflection. So let me take the one here. And if we understand angles at all, we know if we go all the way around halfway of a circle, it's 180 degrees. So if we did a rotation of 180 degrees, that would in essence kind of be the same thing. So that's another way to think of these points, because reflections through the center are sometimes hard for people to do, but rotations sometimes are a little easier. All right, so that's our problem.